Hello! I hope y'all are doing well. So I am out of town, so I am going to record a video for y'all. Okay, so we are going to be doing a ladybug. So I'm so excited about this. I'm going to show you this sign that we are getting our inspiration from. Okay, so this sign is from Burlap Boutique, and I love the little hand-painted ladybug on here. So I thought, you know, it would be really cute if we did a ladybug like this. Okay, so the supplies we're going to need is you're going to need one of these rings that you can get from Walmart. Okay, it's about 10 inches. It is in the section where they have their craft supplies. You're also going to need a styrofoam ball. This is about a 4-inch styrofoam ball. Ignore my dogs. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut some of it off, and we're going to put it up here and make the head of the ladybug. You're going to need some carnations. Okay, so I got my carnations at Sim's Pottery. However, I'm going to leave a couple of links down in the description below of where you can get some like this. You can get some from the Dollar Tree, so I'm going to leave a link to the Dollar Tree. You can get some from Amazon, and you can get some from eFavorMart. Alright, so I will leave those links in the description. We also have some black ones. So we have our red, okay, and we have our black. So what we have to do is we have to cut our piece down. Alright, so when you're dealing with styrofoam, you, and we're gonna, let me get my, where is it? Come to think of it. Okay. Is that Papa Bella? Alright, I'm going to get my apron on so that I don't get anything on my shirt. Well, these aprons are really awesome to have around for your craft spot. Alright, so with styrofoam, you know, there's a couple ways that you can cut styrofoam. You can use craft knives. You want to be careful. You can use a knife from your kitchen. You can score it with your scissors. You can score it. This is actually a little tool that I use sometimes with my Cricut, but sometimes I like to use this and I will score it. So I want to cut about half off of here, so I will just kind of go through and score it. I'm going to use my X-Acto knife and kind of come around and just make a little cut. Okay? Be very careful when you're doing this. You don't want to get yourself. Okay, there we go. So I've scored it. A lot of times what I like to do is take my scissors and I will go through and score it as well. Okay, sometimes I have to get out my kitchen knife and sometimes I don't. It just depends on what type of foam I am working with. Okay. If you can get a good enough cut, then you can knock it off. And we'll see if I can get enough of this to show you. Okay. Alright, so sometimes if you get enough of a cut, haha, there we go. You can just pop it open. Okay. So let's move this over here. Just get that out of the way. So let's see. Yes, I think that's good. Alright, so I want there to be a little bit of an indentation in here to fit my head in. So I'm just putting, and I will zoom in a little bit, Okay, I'm just taking this and I'm putting it right here on the styrofoam so I can just kind of go around here and make my little markings of where I want that to be. Now there are some tools you can get to cut through styrofoam, but I just don't think I'm using enough of it to justify having to get that tool out. Okay. Alright. Styrofoam works really well if you do a good job of scoring it. Okay. Okay. There we go. That's all we had to do. Okay. So it's not going to matter if it is a little bit dented, because all we really want, all we really want is to make sure that we have a good kind of fit between the head and the body. Okay, so this is the back side, this is the front side, so that's pretty good. All right, so we want the head to be a little bit raised from the body. Okay, the way we're going to attach these two things together is we're going to use some sticks. Okay, so you can get, I love to use these. So these are the little skewer sticks you can get from the grocery. Sometimes you can get them from the Dollar Tree. And these are a great way to keep styrofoam together. So usually what I do is I will put it down in there, make a hole, see about how long I need it, maybe about right there. So I want a good several inches going into this styrofoam because I don't want it to come out later. Okay, so I will take both ends out. Okay, and I'm going to measure about the same on another one. Okay. All right, now, let's see, do I need 2? Or do I need 3? Let's just see. I think 3 would probably be a good idea. So I'm going to do 3. Okay. And I always keep what's left over and use it for another project. Okay. So now what I will do is I will take this, I will run it in my glue pot. Okay, there's just regular glue in my glue pot over here. And I'm going to place it down in there. I'm going to let that dry a minute. I'm going to take my next one. I'm going to do the same thing. I want to put it right next to it, about 1 inch apart. Just like that. And the next one, same thing, about 1 inch apart. Okay. Now, I will take this and I will start to push it in like this. Okay. We'll fix this. All right, so this is the piece that popped off. We're just going to fix that real quick. All right, so styrofoam and hot glue are not really the best of friends. So it is better if you're going to use them together to use a glue pot rather than a hot glue gun. So the glue pot is not going to get as hot. It's going to be a little bit more forgiving. It's a little bit better for something like this, okay, than using a glue gun. So a glue pot really is just an electric skillet. You can just get inexpensive ones from Walmart. You can also use a crock pot. I have seen people use a crock pot. Those work just as well. I use regular glue in them. There's nothing special about it. All right, so while that kind of dries for a second, I'm going to work on getting some glue on these pieces. Okay. And then I'm going to place them back in those holes that I created. Alright. And I want it to sit together pretty nicely. Alright. So this is not quite dried yet. So while that's drying, we are going to work on getting our flowers ready. Okay. So you can save the other half to do another one. Now I used a foam ball, but you can use a styrofoam ball. They do not need to be painted. It just happens that that's what I have. Alright, so I am going to cut all my flowers off. You don't want a lot, you know, just like about an inch or so. I'm not going to use the leaves. Ladybugs don't have leaves on them. Okay. So I'm just going to go through and cut all these off. And then we'll start placing them in our project. Okay, so once I have them all cut off, I oftentimes will save leaves like this in order to cover up the backs of projects. It really is a great idea. Okay, this is dry. Okay, so our head and our body is all ready to go ahead and take our flowers. But what we're going to do is we're going to look at this. So you see how ladybugs are. Okay, they have this little section of black at the bottom where their wings are kind of up. So what we're going to do is we're going to plan this out just a little bit so that we can make sure we get the look we like. Okay? So I'm going to take some of the black ones, trim them off. Remember, we only want like an inch or so because these are, it's not very long. Alright, so we want, and what I'll do is I'll take a little tool and I will just kind of score very lightly kind of where I want the wings to expand. So about right here. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this. Let's make sure that this is centered. Okay. I'm going to just dip it in the glue and just place it right in. Okay. Alright. So that's our first one. And when I dip it in the glue, I just kind of hold the leaves back. Alright. And I'm going to kind of go down a line here. Okay. Alrighty. That. So I'm not going to use very many. I do put them pretty close together. So you don't want to have, come on Bill, you don't want to have any spaces showing. So you want to put them about an inch apart. So you see here, they're about an inch apart. So remember, this is going to spread out. Come on. All right, so you're not going to need a ton. Okay. So we're doing about an inch. All right, so I'm just going to put some on the edge here. Okay, so on the bottom part, we're using, we'll count it out. Okay, we might need one more right there. All right, so far we've used 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, so I think we're going to use 8 to make this middle part of the wing. Okay. All right. Alrighty. Okay, there we go. So we've got our little wingspan. Okay. All right, now we can start placing the red. Okay, so we're just going to place, I'm going to start on one side and build around. Just because I wanted to start with my wingspan first. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put them about an inch apart. All the way up. So we want to make sure we're going right up against it so we can start to get that definition of why we were putting these black ones on. Okay. Okay, and what you're looking to do is to place these at the edge of where yours stop so that you can make sure you get a nice coverage with your flowers. All right, here we go. All right, I'm gonna start on the other side and go around this wingspan. So I'm starting it fairly close to the black. You can see already we're starting to look like a ladybug. And this is so much fun. You can do lots of little projects doing fruits, or you can do insects, little bugs, using styrofoam and flowers. You just have to have the right colors. How adorable is that? Okay, so we're just going to keep going. We are going to put a little bit of black kind of in the middle to make our little spots, but we're not going to do it right now. We will do it kind of as we get completed. Okay. Okay, so I like to get fairly close to the edge. We will come back and do some around the edge. Okay. But first we just want to kind of get the top done. Okay. You don't need a ton of glue. You're really letting the stems do some of the work. The glue is just going to kind of keep it in place. All right. So in my group, we've done an apple using this method, and it turned out so adorable. I've done pineapples in the past using this method. There's so many different things you could do just using this method. Okay. And one thing I love about carnations is they just go together so well. They're very inexpensive silk flower to get, and they're not very difficult to find. So they really are a great one to use to do a project like this. Okay. All right, so we're getting close up here. All right, so you see how cute that looks right now. So I kind of just go through here and make sure that there are no spots where you can see anything, that everything looks pretty much the same. And we're going to add in, whoops. All right, so the little stem fell off. So I'm going to take a little bit of glue and pop it back in there so I can make sure it's not going to fall off after I get it inside our project. Okay, so we'll let this one dry for a second, and we will work with this one. All right. So now we're just going to put a little bit of black spots on our wings. And I will kind of look for spaces I think that it would just fit in nicely, like right here. Right here is a good spot. Okay. I'll just pop it right down in there. Okay. There we go. I love it. All right, so let's do one more here, and then we'll do 3 here. Okay. All right, so what I'm doing is I'm just kind of moving the flowers aside so I can get to the styrofoam, because you can't really stick it through the flower. There we go. Okay, perfect. Okay, this one should be good. So it doesn't have to be perfect, putting it in the next one. I want there to be plenty of red between them. Okay. Alright. Let's put one up here. Okay, here we go. I think we might put one like right here instead of directly on the side. So there's no rule with this part. You know, they're not going to be totally even and perfect. So that's not what we expect in nature. All right. Okay. So we have our little ladybug pieces on here. Whoop. That one didn't go down very well. Let's put it like maybe right in here. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to put another one right here because I don't want these two to be too close together. There we go. Perfect. All right. Now remember, if you don't like where it's placed, you can always pull it out and put a different one in there. For the head, we're going to do black. Okay? So we just need to take these out. Start working on the head. All right. Okay. So I will just start right here and kind of work my way down the sides and then around the top. All right. Okay. Okay, here we go. So we go around this side now. Right. I'm just going to put them close enough together that they're going to cover up any spaces. It's almost like you can do a pattern where you put 2 an inch apart and then just kind of put one in the middle of those 2. Okay. All right. That. Don't worry too much about the glue strings. You can always come back and hit it with your hair dryer on a low setting and it'll melt all that away. Okay? There will be some glue strings. Great thing is you can plop them right back in your pot. Okay. And when we're done with this part, we will count how many are on the head. Put those over there. Okay. Well, it's turning out good. Our head is covered all the way around, so you can see, the only thing you can see is if you lift it up. So what we'll do is we will cover this part and we will make a hanger for it. Alright, so before I move on, I want to put a little bit more red in here. I don't want my black to be too close together. Hold on. I don't think I got that. There we go. Okay, now we go. There we go. Alright, so if you get some glue on these pieces, don't worry. Come back with your hair dryer and just hit over it and it will take it out. Okay? So we want these to be little spots. We don't want them to be giant pieces. So we can take red, okay, and we can add the red in near the black and kind of diminish the amount that the black is kind of showing through. So that way we get more of, it looks like a spot instead of it looks like a big piece. All right, I think we're gonna put one more over here towards the side. All right, you do want to kind of move things around. Make sure you get down to the base. It won't stay very well if you don't. There we go. Perfect. Okay. So we've gotten the top done. All right, so now we're going to work on the sides. Okay. So I am going to continue this part right down here, and then we're going to do red around the rest of it. Okay. And we'll count up all of our stems afterward and see how many we used. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to put it right in the side. Okay. Again, spacing them apart about 1 inch. Okay. All right. Okay, so I think we need one more in there, and maybe one more on the side. Okay. So one kind of in the middle. There. So now we have a nice all the way around. Okay. All right. And then I think one more right over here. There we go. Okay, now we can start placing the red. All right. So I think we are pretty much done with the black. So let's see how many we used. All right. Okay. Let's cover this up. Oh, excuse me. Okay. So we used 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 18, 20, 22, 24, 25, 8, 30, 32. We used 34. All right. So we used 34 black of the Black Carnations. Okay, this one is missing a stem, so we're going to put a little stem on it. Well, I don't know, it might not fit. Oh, there we go. Okay. Alright, so I need to put a little bit of, tiny little bit of glue on that just to keep it in there. Okay. Alright. So now we're going to start working on the sides. Okay. So same exact thing. Just going to put them in. We want to put them fairly close to the edge so we can start to get that kind of going all the way over look like we did with the black. So that way you do not have a defined area that looks like it's coming across. Alright, so I'm putting them, you know, about 1/2 inch, maybe 1/4 inch from the top. Alright, so we've used one of these, and there are 24 carnations on one of these. So we've used 24. We've used 25. The one that was missing the stem was right there. Okay, so let's cut these off, and we'll see how much of these we use. I expected that I would use about 48 red ones, so we will see if we will use both. So both of these had 24 stems on it. So when you're looking at florals, if they say something like X24, X18, that's the number of stems that it has on it, so the number of flowers. And that's how you can determine value. Because if it only has 4 stems and it's $2, but you can get 16 and it's like $3.50, then you know which is the better value. Okay. Whoop. Little stem fell out. There we go. Okay. All right. Okay. So I'm just doing the top part right now. We'll go back and do the bottom part. Now you can actually paint these flowers. You would want to get the kind of paint that you can use with silk flowers. So if you couldn't find the black ones, you could always get the red ones and paint them. You would just want to make sure you get the right kind of paint. So if you were able to find these at Dollar Tree and you wanted to use that, you could go back and paint them to get the same effect. So now we're going to go through and we're going to get the bottom parts. So I think on the bottom, on this part right here, I think all we're going to need to do is put them in between. All right, so we want to start up next to the neck. Okay. And here. So you don't want to go too close to the bottom because you can break off your styrofoam. You can also have your piece stick through. So I'm putting it in between two to get that nice coverage. So just think, there are so many things that you can do with styrofoam and some silk flowers. The only thing that limits you is your imagination. That's it. So you see how cute that is? All right, let's do the other side. All right. I think we might be pretty close to my estimation. I think we might have a few less, but we will see. Still don't like how this one looks, so we may have to work on that in a minute. Okay. All right, so now we will go up near the head. There we go. Okay, and then we're going to start going in between them just to get that nice little coverage. There we go. So far, so good. All right. And the whole thing is covered. So how adorable is this? This looks like, it absolutely looks like a ladybug. So see, this would be really cute on a table. It could be cute door hanger. It would also be cute in a wreath. So you could also put one of these on a wreath and just have an adorable wreath with something very different. I think this is adorable. Okay, so we're going to do one more thing to it. We want to give it some little antlers here. Okay, so I just have a couple black pipe cleaners. All right, and what we will do is I will take something small. You can use like a pencil, and I will wrap it around several times. Okay, and just get the little antler part. Okay. So let's do this one. All right. And then we'll just kind of curve it around like this. Okay, curve it around. And then we're going to figure out where we need to put it. All right, so to put it in, I'm going to be using my pick machine. However, if you do not have a pick machine, you can get from the craft store the little green sticks that you can use, and you can do the exact same thing. So this just keeps it in a little bit better. I just put a pin, I put a piece right on here. I do double it up in order to get it in my pick machine and put a nice pick on it. This way, we can make sure they're going to stay in there. It's going to be a little bit easier for us to get them in. All right. So I just kind of move things around here. Put it in right there. Okay. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. So I will fluff this back up. Okay. There we go. And let's make them kind of even here. And there we go. We have our little ladybug. So you could put some little eyes down here if you wanted to. You could use some white carnations, but I think it look good just like this. Okay, let's talk about the back. All right, so on the back, you're gonna want to cover this up and just make it look nice and neat. So let's talk about a couple options. So I have this really nice ribbon that looks like almost like a leaf. Okay, and we can put this all the way across and just give it a nice, neat look. You could also use moss. Moss would be a good thing to use as well. You could also cover it with leaves. So it really just depends on how you want it to end up coming out looking. So let's see where my pins are. Okay. Alright. So I have my little floral pins here. Okay. And so I am going to just kind of make a nice little covering using my floral pins. So I'll just take my floral pins and I will poke it in the styrofoam and then cover it back up with the flowers. So you don't have to have ribbon like this. You can use any ribbon you want. It's whatever you have on hand, whatever you think is going to look okay. This part is strictly up to supplies you have. I wouldn't go out and buy something. If you have 50-yard rolls of ribbon, by all means, use that. Because you want something that's just going to look nice, cover it, but is not going to be expensive. Okay? All right. Okay, so before we're completely done with this part, I'm going to get the hanger in. Okay. All right, so for the hanger, I will use antique wire like this. So what I like to do is I like to take the antique wire and I will just twist it around and get a nice little circle. Okay. So this is very thick wire, okay, and it's covered. And what I'll do is I'll place it right down here underneath where my ribbon is, and I am going to tie it down. So that's why I made those little loops. Okay. Okay, so I will put it all the way down. Okay, same thing with the other one. All the way down. On top of that, I'm going to put some glue across the whole thing. I don't want this to come out later, so I'm going to glue across it. And as an added measure, this ribbon is going to be glued down to that. Okay, and then we can tie it down with the other side. Okay. Okay. Let's see if I can get this down here. All right. So I don't need all this. I'll trim some of this off. There we go. All right. Another thing you can do is take some of your glue and just kind of put a little glue around where your ribbon is and gently, not with your hands, but with something else, glue those little flowers right to it. Okay, and that just makes a nice little seal. It covers up any of the mechanics, and that just really helps to give it a nice clean look. All right, like this. Okay. All right. Right up here, just at the top. Okay, there we go. Remember, when you're done, run your hairdryer across it and just get any of these little blue strings to just kind of happily disappear. Okay. So I will keep doing this. Another great idea is to use, you can use foam, you can use felt. Sorry, kind of flew out of my mind there a second. Okay. So foam or felt, both of those work great. Okay. Doesn't want to go in that side. Let's go on this side. Okay. There we go. All right. So we're going to put a little glue here. Get these flowers covering our little mechanics here. Okay. All right. There we go. Perfect. Okay. All right. All right. So now we're going to cover these big parts same exact way. And this is a necessary step because you would not want to put this on a glass door and someone be able to see it. You wouldn't want it to get damaged from the other side because it's not protected. Okay. I love to use this ribbon that looks a bit like a leaf just because I think it just gives it a nice clean look. And I will tell you, when you're working with your glue pot, if you accidentally get a little bit of glue on your finger and it burns a tiny bit, you're fine. If it really burns, then your temperature is too hot. Don't put your temperature too hot because you will hurt yourself and there's no need to. Okay? Because the temperature does not need to be scorching hot in these to work. Especially when you're dealing with styrofoam, you do not want to use scorching hot temperature because you will melt your styrofoam. And trust me, that is not what you want to happen. Okay? So I just keep pushing back the flowers, tucking this in, and then I kind of use the flowers to close it over, and some of those flowers will glue to that piece. Okay? You can also glue some of this down together if you would like to, just like put a little dot there, put a little dot there. My stick's getting a little heavy. Okay. Alright. So just like a dot. There we go. Perfect. That'll just keep them together. You don't want to put too much because you don't want it to be seen. Okay. Alright. In just a minute I will tell you how many of the red we used. Let's just get this done. Okay. Alright. Alright. So you don't need to overlap these too much, just a little. You want to overlap it enough that it will cover, but not so much that you're having to use a lot of your ribbon. Okay. You see why I like this? It just has a nice clean look. It's more durable than some of the others because it is ribbon. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna going to glue a little bit of this up here to cover some of these ends. Okay. Let's see. A couple more. We're almost done. Okay, a little bit of glue right down here. Get those flowers glued in. Okay. We are at our last piece after this one. Then we will have completed our project. All right, so cut some of this off. Trying not to cut my flower. All right, there we go. Right down in there. Okay. So just glue across here. Push my flowers down. There we go. All right, we'll put a little tiny bit of glue there. A little tiny bit there. That's all you need. All right. Okay, one more piece. And we'll be done. All right. All right. So this piece we're going to pin in a few places because it is the end piece. All right. Perfect. Okay. All right. So just a couple more dabs of glue, one right here. Okay, one along here. Push those down. Right, one along here, push those down. There we go. Perfect. All right, now we have our hanger. Okay. Whoop. We have our entire ladybug done. We have our little antennas here. And how adorable is that? So you can see it is finished and polished all the way around. The back looks nice and neat. You can't really tell what we did. And I think it's a winner. I think it's adorable. And so I might have to mess with these little antennas a little bit. But that's it. All right, I hope y'all enjoyed this, and I will be back soon. I will have a few more recorded videos, and I hope you enjoy them. Let me know if there is something else you would like to see. And I will see y'all soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye, y'all.